think I'm just naturally drawn to numbers. I have a computer science background, and so data has always sort of just been in my DNA. That's how I see the world. I like to see it through facts and numbers and measurements and quantitative things, and I'm not as much drawn to words and literature. I have more of a problem with understanding things in that way, if that makes sense. So when I started to notice that organizations and companies and other individuals were gathering large amounts of data, and there was really a sort of lag in the sense-making side of things. And so that's when I started to, my business partner and I formed Periscopic, and we started to focus on the sense-making side of data and how to use that to bring to light issues and to help people understand, complex issues that are happening in the world, whether it's climate change or human rights issues or mining or oil exploration, things like that. I like to think that there is the story in every piece of data. I think that data is really fascinating. It's just a different way of looking at the world. And when you think about data, I think people often think of it as just something that comes in a file, comes in a database or a spreadsheet. But really you have to think about it in a different context in that it came from somewhere. Data comes from a source, and I don't mean the person who gathered it and tabulated it, I mean the actual person who created that data. So, for instance, we did a piece on gun violence, so the data source for that data are the people who've been killed by guns. So, to me, the story is always at the inception of that data. It's about everything that comes before it gets into that file on our desk. It's, and whether that's animals who are, we did a piece on polar bears, so that the data sources are those bears who are, struggling to stay alive because their habitat is melting away. So it's always, you can always trace that data back to something really meaningful, and you have to find a life in that data. I think they're both equally important. I think there are different people who respond to different things. It goes back to your question about how, why does data appeal to me versus words? And that's just the type of person I am. I like to understand those numbers and where things came from. I like to see it in a quantitative way. There are just people who are like that. And just as there are people who will respond more to words and an oral story or something they can see in their mind's eye through words. So I think it's just approaching those audiences in different ways and helping them. I think visualization can only help in terms of bringing more people along through a story and helping build that journey, whether it's through words or photographs, video, data, whatever the case may be. Yeah, we have a full team that does everything. So it starts with strategy, and it goes into the data science. So we pretty much out of the gate, we just start looking at the data. So our data scientists and programmers start looking at different ways of showing that data. It's really about the shape of the data. What is that story in there? Do we have the right data? Can we tell what's happening in here? Do we need to supplement it with other sources? And so that concept gets developed as a very rough visual idea. From there we bring in user experience designers who start to build into interactive